Okay, we'll just start then. I hope you can see my screen. Yeah. So yesterday we just
Yes.
talked about just brief about what is IAM and how does the IAM architect look like, right? Today we'll see. Yesterday we talked about this. What is architect? Where Okta comes into picture. Okta is an, let's say, mediator. It acts as an mediator between the upstream and downstream applications, where upstreams are nothing but the HR systems or Active Directory systems, mostly, where the data comes flows from upstream to Okta. And once Okta receives the data, right, so it will pass it to the downstream applications, and where these applications will be the left side applications, we call it as a downstream applications, and these applications will be integrated or onboarded with Okta by using different protocols like SAML, OAuth, OIDC for a single sign-on purpose. So this is what we just had yesterday, and we just logged into Okta. We saw how Okta look likes and how to create a user just for this. But today we'll just talk about, let's say, as I said, Okta, we call it as tenants in Okta terminology, and today we will just see how to create an Okta tenant for each of us, so that going forward, if you want to test from yourself, you can go ahead and do some practice by your own. As I said, Okta is a cloud platform, right? There is no need to install any software on your products, on your systems, laptops, or anywhere. So it's just a plug and play software where you need to get the license, and then based on the license, the tabs in Okta will be enabled. So again, as license, as I am talking about license, Okta even provide a developer license which says that you can use it for developer purpose, just for your own testing purpose. Even it provides a trial version which is for 30 days, which provides you a separate tenant, separate software for you for your specific purpose, where you can go and do some hands-on experience. Today we'll just start with that, how to create the tenants. So let me open Okta. So in Okta, we have two type of when we are registering, right? We have trial account and developer account. Trial account is valid for only 30 days. So I doesn't prefer to go with a trial account, because after 30 days it will get expired. But in the same way, the same features will be let's say enabled in both developer and trial tenant as well. So where developer tenant is valid for more than a year, where you can go for that developer tenant instead of going for a trial tenant. So in Okta, we have two types of, identity and work identity cloud. What does it mean in the sense? Customer identity in the sense which mainly used for customer purpose. End users, not an employees. In such case, we go for customer identity, and that product is a bit different to Okta Workforce. That is called as Auth0. So as I said, we will be, learning only the workforce identity, not the cloud-based. Not the customer identity product. So we will be working on the console that which I showed you yesterday was workforce identity console, and we will be trained on this itself. And as I said, there is free trial which is valid for 30 days, and there is a developer account which is valid for it doesn't have any validity until and unless that Okta team revokes, then we can use it. So we'll just go with the developer account. See what happens. It's just asking for an work email. Let me give any Gmail instead of giving work email. See, it doesn't accept anything. So if you have any work email, apart from Gmail, any your student email at the rate some organization dot com, then you can use it. If not, I will show you an alternate. You can go ahead and use it. There will be a site called at 10 minutes. 10 minutes email, which will generate you an email for 10 minutes. where you can send any email from your personal ID to this, or you can receive emails for temporary purpose, and which this particular email will be valid for only 10 minutes. So we can use this for temporary purpose for any registration purpose. Instead of using our emails, we can go ahead and use this. So if you see, when I click on 10minutes.com, it generated me an email which is valid for 10 minutes. I'm just copying the email. So it sent an email. So let me check, did I receive an email? Yes, if you see, the inbox is one. I received an email. Click on this. Okay, activate. So immediately it's asking me to reset the password. And if you see, I'm just setting some password. So once that is done, it is asking to set some MFA. By default, Okta is prompting you to set up MFA. So we'll just set this up, and we'll just discuss what is this Okta Verify later on. So what is this Okta Verify in the sense? Okta Verify is an app application. I mean, just an app, mobile app. It is you can install in your iOS mobiles or in your Android mobiles from the Play stores, where you need to install this particular app. And then once you click on this setup, it will show you a barcode, I mean a QR code. It it will show you a QR code where you need to scan from the app that you install so that it will get registered. I'm just scanning this. So this is an app which is used for multi-factor authentication. It has an capability of providing you a code where you need to enter the code, or just sending a notification saying that are you the one logging into Okta? Then it just gives you a pop-up on your mobile. Then where you need to say yes or no. If yes, then you provided your consent to authenticate that particular Okta. So this is an app where you need to download from your stores, I mean Apple Store or iOS for iOS, and if not from Google Play Store, and then install it. So this is how, if you see, I just created a brand new Okta tenant for myself. This is a way that you need to create brand new console for you, brand new tenant for yourself as well. So where you can go ahead and do your hands-on experience for every task that which we do daily. And if you see, this is the URL. I'm just copying it to somewhere. If you see. And if you see, this is the admin URL. And what would be the end user URL? This is the admin URL. What would be the end user URL? As I said, there would be two
So no admin.
consoles. Yeah, no admin. Just remove this. This is the end user console, and this is the admin console. For safety reasons, I'm just copying this to my notepad. So this is my end user. I mean, this is my administrator, right? So this is how you need to connect, you need to register for an Okta developer tenant, and you can do the hands-on that which you want to do. And make sure that you should not forget this username or password, or even you should not change your email ID. I mean, you should not change your mobile. If you forgot that, then you will be losing this tenant IDs. So the only way to again retrieve this tenant IDs is to call Okta support team and ask them to let's say reset your MFA or reset your password. You can reset your own password, but reset your email ID, know your email ID. That is the only way. But you can have a question in real time. What does it happen if I forgot my, let's say, super admin? We call it as a super administrator, this user ID, because he has full access. Maybe you can have a question that what happens if I forgot my super administrator in real time, administrator ID, or let's say the MFA that which I am using Okta Verify, right? It is installed on some mobile. What happens if I lost that mobile? So the first thing is, if you forgot your super administrator, you can call to your Okta support team, as you have a licensed product. If your Okta tenant is a licensed tenant, then you can call to your Okta support team and ask them to, let's say, provide you the Okta administrator, super administrator, that which you forgot. That is one way. And the other way is, in real time, what we do in the sense, we will create two or three, admin accounts, right? Not only one will be an admin account, where we create one more account and we make that account as a super administrator. As we know that in real time, we will having 5 or 10 super administrators, who are working on Okta. All will have super administrator credentials. That is one. Apart from that, we will be creating one super administrator, which we call it as a break glass accounts. Let's say if something goes wrong and everything goes down, then we will use that break glass account to log into Okta. So we'll create one break glass account, which we call it as, in terminology, we call it as break glass, because if everything got break, then the account that we will be using is a break glass account. We will create one account, and that particular account will be given super administrator credentials. In max, let's say that account we doesn't opt for any MFA, that account will not have any MFA, just username and password. And these credentials will be saved. Username and password is saved in some of our, let's say, DR, data recovery centers, to make sure, or somewhere secretly, who doesn't have access to everything. And everything, if anything goes wrong, then these credentials will be taken out. I'll show how to create going forward when we come for that global administrator account details. But just for your information, it is good to create one more account and provide a super administrator credentials. Okay, now we will talk about users. As I said, yesterday we just started users, just created one user, and we just left there. Right now we will see where we have left. Coming for people, people is the place where we create an users. If you see, as this is a brand new tenant, there is only one user called as Pradeep, who is nothing but an super administrator. Now, if I wanted to create an account, let's see, come and create an account. And who is creating this account? Pradeep. The accounts, whoever, if I want to create any user, the user is created by a super administrator called as Pradeep. This is his email ID, something junk value, but who is creating this account? It's Pradeep. Whoever logins to the systems, whatever operations you are doing on this particular, let's say, tenant, and in the log, that will be registered with that particular name. If you want to again troubleshoot, saying that who has created this account, when it is got created, everything can be verified in Okta logs. Okay, now I'm just creating an account. Account is nothing but an user. User is nothing but an employee or the end user of a particular organization. Okay, let's suppose I'm creating an account. As I said, I can activate the user, or I can set an email. I can set the password right here itself, or I can set this option saying that when the user logging for the first time will be prompted to change the password. Let's suppose if I doesn't want to activate this. Let's suppose I doesn't want to activate this now. I just want to activate this later. I can activate later as well. Okay, now let's see. Just activating now. I'm not setting any password. Let's save it. Just refresh. Now the user that I created is Jacob, which is active. And if you see, the only the attributes that required to create an user is only the first name, last name, first name, last name, username, and primary email IDs. Then we'll talk about this. What is username? First name, you know, what is the first name of your name? Last name, what is your surname? And what is username? Username in Okta is nothing but the ID which you are using to log into Okta. So here, if you see which ID I will be using to log into Okta, in most cases we are using that email ID, and let's say username is same, but based on our requirement it can be changed. See, apart from that, few attributes when you open that a particular user and goes for a profile tab, you can see a lot number of attributes. These were the predefined attributes which comes up with Okta. But while creating a user, we just need to provide only the mandatory attributes which were required. And if you see what is the username, this is the username. Username is nothing but which is used to log into the system. See, once I log in, it is showing here, right? This is the username for this particular user called as Pradeep. But as I said, in most cases, the username and primary email can be same. It depends upon the company requirement. If you want to change this username to different, you can change it, because let's see, most of the in real time, what happens in the sense, most of the organizations will prefer logging into the systems using email ID. But in some organizations, they prefer logging to the systems by using some LAN ID or SAM account name or employee number. So it depends upon the organization requirement. What should be the username? And currently for us, it is showing as Jacob, but we will change this to some employee number as well, and we will see how it works. But for now, if you see, it is just email ID, right? And as I said, these were the attributes for all the predefined attributes present in Okta. If you want to go and change anything values, you can come for this particular user, edit that particular user, go for profile tab. Profile is nothing but the user's complete details, and change the required settings, whatever you want, whatever you want, you can change that. Okay, and this is the way to create an user. And I said this is the username which is used to log into the system. And if you see, right, for every attribute there were two names. One is username, one is login. One is first space name, one is first name without any space, camel cases. Last space name and last name. So you just remember this. Every attribute has two names. The first one is called as display name, and the below one, which is in transparent way, it is not so bold. This is called as variable name in Okta. So wherever we want to see any information, we can see the information with the display name. But login and this first name, right, which I called as variable names, these are used during when we want to pass any user details to the downstream applications, or when we want to fetch a specific user details for some our, when while we are using a regular expression to fetch some information of a particular user, we need to use the variable names. Display names are only to show on the user consoles. But if you want to do anything with that particular attribute values, like let's say passing these values to the downstream, or if you want to do use this let's say attribute values in some coding, everywhere you need to use this variable names only. I will show you with example when we are integrating a SAML integration, how to use these variable names. Because in every SAML integration, when we want to pass any details to the downstream application, we need to use these variable names itself. So just remember that username, the topmost attribute name is, we call it as display names, and the other one we call it as variable names, which is used internally while writing any regular expression or any code that which we're working on. And if you see a particular user, I just open profile, right? So this is how an user is created. And let's see. What does it mean? There are multiple tabs under this, right? What does it mean? So first comes for applications. What is applications in the nets? The end applications that which we onboard, as I said, right? When we are onboarding any applications, these are the applications. As it's a brand new user, we doesn't have any applications. Once we onboard any application and assign to this, he will be given access. Then groups. Groups are nothing but Jacob, right? Is he part of any group? Yes, he is part of an everyone. What is a group first? Group is nothing but, let's say, a group of people, we say that, right? A group of people in normal terminology, or a set of objects, we say that, right? Here in the same way in Okta, what is a group? In the sense, a group of users, a group of employees, we call it as a set of employees, or set of members, we call it as a group. So where we can create our own group and assign people to a particular a group. So by default in Okta, it comes up with a group called as everyone group. So it's everyone is a group which is by default provided by Okta. So whenever you create an user, by default the user will be added to a group called as everyone. And then profile. What is profile? As you see, the user information. Devices, whatever the user is using its devices. Let's say once he logins to any system, right? Registering for any devices, the registered devices, they will be captured under this. We'll just check again this. And admin roles, what is the admin roles? So as I said, for every user, if there is an administrator account for him, then he will be shown as an administrator account. For end users, this admin role will be nothing. But for administrators, let's say Jacob, is is he an administrator? No, he is not an administrator. So he is an end user. So no roles were shown here. Let me show you the other user, which is Pradeep. Pradeep is an administrator, right? Pradeep is an administrator, right? So when you click on this administrator, you can see super administrator. What type of administrator is he? He is a super administrator who can do whatever he want to do on Okta console. So that is the reason he will be given an access called as super administrator. There were multiple other administrators as well. Let's say help desk administrator, everything. There were multiple administrators, or you can create your own custom administrator. We'll check once we get into that particular topic. Now, as the user is created, now user has this, and we have seen a console for this particular user which shows an active. Now we will discuss about the statuses of user, right? This is active status. Now let us create one more user with different status. Or let's say if I open
Pradeep,
Jacob.
can you create one user without having the format of name like Gmail kind of? You told that we can create with ID also, right?
Yes, we will create that, but okay, it's a different topic, as I said, right? When we go for that particular topic, or we'll
Oh,
just start it. We'll just start it, no issues. So
okay.
as I said, right, profiles. So if you see, you have different attributes, right? These were which we called as attributes. We'll discuss the topic then. Uh, these are different attributes. Let's suppose there is no attribute to save your SSN number. Even there is no attribute to save your SSN number. What if your requirement doesn't satisfy with these particular attributes? If you want to go and create multiple attributes with different names, so in such case you can create it, you can edit it, whatever you want to do. So where you will do this, in the sense, you go for profile editor. See, this is profile for a particular user, and this is profile editor for all the users. This is nothing but the schema, where what is the schema of your users, right? If you go for the users default, this is the schema in the backend. What attributes you have created, Okta has created, what attributes that's Okta have will be shown here. Profile editor for all the users. So what is profile? Profile is nothing but the user attributes. If you see, this is the profile editor, where you can see what were the default attributes present for Okta. If you want to create any attribute, then you can create. Let's say we doesn't have any attribute called as SSN. If you want to create an attribute, if you see, all these are base attributes. Are there any custom attributes? No. The attribute that which you are creating apart from the existing attributes is called as a custom attribute. Now let's create an attribute called as SSN. See, when I create When I click on this attribute, add attribute, it will provide me an option to create the new attribute. And it has different variable types. Depending upon your requirement, you can use the variable types. This is nothing but if you have any coding languages, you will be having better idea of this. What is the data type? It's string is nothing but just a string value, a normal text value. Number is only for numbering, 1 2 3 4. Boolean is for true or false. Integer, even it takes dot integer value. String value, combination of different values. Number array. So we mostly use string and number and boolean. In real time we doesn't use this much. So now let's go with string. And I just said, as I want to create an attribute called as ssn to save the ssn value of your this, right? And variable name, as I said, for every attribute, display name and variable name are compulsory while creating or already created attributes. So as I said, this is for just the display purpose, and the variable name is for the purpose which we use internally for while creating any code or while creating any regular expression. So I just gave this SSN variable name as even SSN small cases, and enum restrictions. If you wanted to make this an unique value, you can make this as an unique value. Length, if you wanted to restrict any length, you can make this as length. What should be the length? Like less than this, greater than this, you can use it. And if you wanted to make this as an required attribute for every users, if you see ssn is an required attribute for every US citizens, right? Let's say if your client is ssn, if you wanted to make this ssn required for every users, just make it as an ssn. When we make this attribute as required, this will be shown on the creation page itself. Let's say here itself, add user, here itself it will show, because these are only the mandatory attributes required. And now you are making one more attribute as attribute required, so it will immediately show here on this page while creating a user. If it doesn't make this as attribute as an required, it doesn't show there, it show in the profile tab. Once the user is created, it will show in the profile tab here itself. So it depends upon the requirement whether it need to be, let's say, required or not. So let's suppose it should be a required value. And then again the user permissions. So does this particular user end user should be provided these permissions to view or read or write? So I'm just only going with the read option. Let's say save. Now an attribute called ssn is created, which is nothing but a custom attribute. Now see what happens if I want to create a new user. ssn is required, so it's showing me here. Without this value, now I can't create any user because I just made this as an required attribute. This is one. This is how you create the custom attributes. How to create in custom attributes? Go for profile editors, create a custom attribute. Let's suppose now if you want to edit your existing attributes, right? Or any custom existing attribute or any Okta predefined attributes. Now our requirement is to change this username format from email address to any other value, right? So what is the attribute we want to change? Username, right? Go for profile editor. Which attribute we want to change? You can see here itself, it's
Username.
username. See this, we can't delete the attribute, but we can modify the attribute related settings, but we can't delete. For custom attribute, if you wanted to delete, you can delete it. Once you create, you can delete. But for the predefined attributes which comes up with Okta, you can use it or you can change it as per your requirement, but you can't delete it. So let's say the username, just opening this, you can't even change the name as well, but you can change the format. If you see, the format is email address, email format. If you want to change to custom, you can change anything. If you want to keep this as none, then you can change anything. If you change to custom, then you need to use the regular expression and write the code which format that you want to use it. So currently let's go with none. If I go with none, then it doesn't accept any format. I can give whatever format I want. And if you see, this attribute is required. Why it is required, mandatory required, and why you can't change this? Because every user need to log into Okta with the username. It can be of any format. It can be of email format, or it can be of employee number format, anything. But that attribute is required to log it. Right now, as I changed this to none, let's create a user and see how it behaves now. See, I'm just giving some other value. And when I give the username, by default, it takes the primary email as the same number, but it should not be. Primary email format is email. So just change this to email. See, if I set the password, I'm creating a user. Does this user get created? No, because SSN is required. It giving me an error saying that SSN is required. Please enter SSN number. Now I created the user, and a user called as Vijay is created, and see what is the username of that particular user. Username for that particular user is EID. Right? This is the way that you can change the username format, or to create the custom attributes. Way to create the custom attributes, go for profile editor and create the custom attributes based on your requirements. And just remember this as well. Variable name for this is user. We'll use this when we are creating any regular expressions. Okay, any questions?
That username is like the same thing, right? What you told, instead of email format, we can give the number format as well. That's what the user, right?
We just created, right, with the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
format.
yeah, right.
You can see this. If you want to log in to the system with the which name he will be logging in, he will be logging with this ID, not an email ID,
Okay, okay.
because we changed the user login. Login is nothing but username, or login is nothing but the ID which he is using to log into Okta.
And I have one more question, Pradeep. Like in my current company, we already using that Okta, which is there in my mobile. If I want to use the Okta, do I need to add? Can I use the same app from my mobile, or
Yes,
how it is
you
going to
can
work
use
out?
same app. The particular apps takes more than 100 plus, users to register.
Okay, got it.
So just open that Okta Verify mobile. You will see a plus symbol at the top for everyone who I'm saying that to register for Okta Verify, for to scan this code, right? Once
Yeah.
you register this Okta Verify on your mobile, you will see a plus symbol at the top. Click on that plus symbol, and it will open your camera to scan that QR code. Scan that. Once done, just click on done, and it will
Okay.
ask for biometric as well. To prompt, it will ask, do you want to enable biometric? So no need of any biometrics. So you just can skip that biometrics and click on done. Then your device will be registered. If you see, and even that device, registered device will be shown here under devices. Let's see if I have using Pradeep. Okay. If I go for devices, you can see the device that I registered.
Okay. It
So
is asking
whatever
for
the
that
device,
organization and other two options is there. When I click on that, just I need to
yeah,
select the organization, right?
yeah, click on that organization and
Okay.
plus tab, and then click on that.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, this is how what is user, what is profile editor. We have done profile editor is nothing but used to create a custom attributes or edit the predefined attributes. Now we will talk about again users. What are the different stages of users,
Hi, Pradeep.
right?
Sorry to interrupt you. I have one question.
Yeah.
So while creating users, there is one option, one column, user type. So do we have any types of users here? Like which scenario we use them?
Okay, let me open this. Okay, so this user type, right? We can use it based on our requirement, but in most cases we will not use it. What is this user type in the sense? Let me open. But most of 99% we won't use it. We'll be just going with an user type.
Okay.
What is this people? Add user. You are talking about this user type.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
By default, it comes with one user type. Let's suppose apart from this, you wanted to create separate user profiles, right?
Uh-huh.
Then you may go for this, saying that you go for, let's say, for contractors, you wanted to use a particular user type, and for employees, you wanted to use a particular user type. In such case, you go for profile editor, create Okta user type. Let's suppose I wanted to create for contractors. So once I create, there would be one more profile which says as contractors. Click on contractors and define the attributes again. Let's suppose for contractors, SSN is not required and username format should be email ID itself. Right? Previously we changed that, or email ID format should be anything. Or for contractors, we should have any other attribute, some few attribute names, different attributes. Right? Let's say a contract payroll company, because for contractors the payroll company will be different, right? Payroll company. The recommendation for variable names is to go with small cases for everything. That is the reason I'm just going for small cases, and even with no spaces as well. Small cases in the sense camel cases, to be frank, camel cases in the sense starting with small, and if there is any change then going with cap letters. See, I just created this, save. Now while creating an user, add user, do I want to create an employee or a contractor, right? Contractor information. If you see, SSN is not present here because in contractors profile editor, we didn't create an value called as SSN. We created an value called as payroll company, and that we didn't make it as mandatory. So that will present in user profile, not here. So this is where you differentiate the users itself. Let me create one user contractor. Sorry, I didn't check this contractor. May activate later, we can show the other status as well. I'm just uh, keeping this as activate later. Let's see what it shows. Save. We found errors, preview, corrections. Why it is taking. Contractors, case, sure. Did I create that as? Yeah, while activating that, it's throwing some error, I guess, Shiva. And see, when I created this user as a contractor, you can see it stays, it says as a contractor because we have two different profiles. So it's showing as a contractor and we doesn't have any SSN number value here because we didn't create this SSN number. So this is how where we differentiate whether it's a contractor or it's an employee or depends upon the user type that which you want to select. And if you open the other users now, let's say this is Shiva we just created, right? Vijay. See, for users, it just shows the user because our employment type is, I mean, user type is user, it is showing user. If you change this to employee, then it shows as an employee. So it is just to differentiate the users based on your requirement. It can be done based on your requirement, but in most organizations, they will be using only one user type called as just user. They won't be changing that in real time. But if there is a nearly strictly a requirement to change that, you can go ahead and change it.
Okay, Pradeep. Thank you.
Okay, now coming for the users to create. First, we'll change the profile editor for the default users to email address for better. While we log in, we'll just use the email format as well. Only. I'm just changing to back. Give me 1 minute. Now let me create an user. Do it later. Let me check why it doesn't work. Okay, I created an user called as Salman and see the status. We are now discussing about the statuses of user, right? Previously, we see the user is in active state. Now, if you see the user is in staged state. Staged state in the sense user got created in Okta, but he's not got activated, right? You can activate whenever you require. So before activating stage, right? Before the user got activated, the first stage of a user when he got created in Okta, it should be in staged state if you are not activating that user, right? And this staged use status, the user can't log into Okta, and you can only see the user. This is the status of an user. If you wanted to activate this user, you can activate the user here. But let's see what happens when you activate this. Activate. Are you sure you wanted to activate this user? An activation email will be sent to the person informing them that their account is now active. You can edit the content of their email on the customization email payment. Okay, see what happens. So in the real time, when the user joins an organization, until and unless he reaches the employee start date, he will be in staged state, right? When the administrator clicks on active, then the user will be active. But in real time, we will not activate this user manually. This will be done automatically. Automation we will do. But how we will do the automation when we are talking about workflows, I can tell you that. But now let's suppose the user is in stage state. Now if you want to activate the user, see what happens and what status changes does this user goes through. So now we have seen one status called as active. We are just discussing of the status of users. One is active, one is staged, right? Now do, let's say I'm just activating the user. Activate, activate, just refresh. If you see pending user, user pending user, user password selection required. This is one more status. Let's see. what happens to the user in this particular state. Give me 1 minute, I'm just getting a call. తీసుకో అమ్మకి ఇవ్వు. Where is this? అమ్మ ఫోన్ చేసినట్టు మా అమ్మ నెంబర్కి. So this is Salman. If you see the pending user action, user password selection is required. Let's see what happens to this user now. As when I click on activate, the user's email ID is this. So go and check this email ID. Even this mailinator is an temporary email which receives an emails, right? To just receive an email instead of using our Gmail, we can use an alternate called as mailinators. How to use this? I will just show you. Just open this mailinator, click on this mailinator home, click on this public inbox, and then see what is your email ID that you mentioned for that particular user. This is the salman.k, right? At the rate mail. So no need to enter at the rate mailinator here. Just go for mailinator. Just search here salman.k, where you could see the emails received to this particular email IDs. And this is a temporary email box which will be having only 1 or 2 hours. I mean, the emails received to this mailbox will be exist for only 1 or 2 hours. After 1 2 hours, this emails will be removed. So for temporary purpose, for anything if you want to use, you can use this. Even for any registrations, right? Let's say if you want to do some registration just for using some website. In some cases, it will ask to register with your email IDs. Instead of using our email ID and getting bombarded with the notifications that they send, we can use this temporary email boxes like 10 minutes email or mailinator for that purpose, only for one-time registrations. So this is how it shows. Welcome to Okta. And when you open this, here you can see. Oh, sorry, I just clicked accidentally on that close, I guess. It got closed. You can hear me, right?
Yes, I
Hello?
can
Yes,
hear you.
yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Let me share my screen. I need to ask who is the host now? Does it the host change to anyone? If you see, as I lost the host. Once I lost the host, someone will be given the host access immediately.
It is saying your name only as a host.
Okay, but somehow I can't share the recording. I mean, share the screen. The host is not allowing multiple presenters sharing the screen. And are there any two names with Pradeep? Okay. Okay, let me rejoin this.
Oh, good if it says you the host. Hey, so can anybody tell me where this recording's being uploaded for our class?
I think Rani is going to upload once, like maybe from tomorrow it seems, once we pay the fee, I think.
No, okay.
Jacob, I guess you became the host. So somehow I can see the recording on your name. Can you
Oh,
make me
yeah, yeah.
host?
I can
Because
see. Let me see. I just noticed that now.
when the host get disconnected, right? Someone from the let's say attenders will get some host permissions.
See, to give you back the host. Okay. 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 You are the host now.
Okay, let me log in to the screen again as I lost it. I'm just sharing the screen. Let me know if you see this. Okay, I logged in to Okta again. Now, as I said, I created a user called as Salman. Let me open his email ID. So to open that, I'm using Mailinator as is a temporary place where we receive emails. Once you go and click here, just go for public inbox. Just type your email. Just removing at the rate Salman. I mean Mailinator. Salman.k. No need to enter at the rate Mailinator. So once you open this, you can see an welcome email that which you received. This is how it shows. Let's say Okta Dev. Welcome to Okta. This is nothing but Okta Dev, your host name. This is dev hyphen 2. Even this can be customized. When we are talking about customization, I will show you how to customize this. Hi Salman. Even this content you can customize there. Hi Salman, your organization is using Okta to manage access to your web applications. This means you can conventionally access all these applications. This is some convent, and it just shows to activate this user, saying that activate that user. We have sent you an activation link where you can activate your own, and this link is valid for 7 days. And if you need anything to log in, this is your username and this is your organization email ID. I mean organization URL to log in. If you see, this is the end user console login URL. This is not the admin URL. So here you are passing the end user login as well. So let's suppose what does user do? Once the user receives this email, when the user clicks on activate Okta user account, then he will be asking to set the password. If you see salman.k@mailinator.com, he's asking to set the password. Set the password, and it's asking to set up some Okta verify or security questions and MFA. It's an optional. Just continue. Now, if you see, the user landed on application page, right? User landed on Okta dashboard page. As user doesn't have any applications, so that is the reason he is not seen with any applications now. But user landed on, who is this user? Salman. This is how the registration works. Now see the status of this particular user. Refresh. If you see, the status of the user now changed to active, right? This is one status. And as we're talking about this, staged activate pending users, and now the other status is reset password. Let's say this user has forgot the password and he has called the help desk, let's say Okta administrators. So what does the administrator do when user calls to help desk, like say Okta administrator, and asks that the user has forgot the password? Then what end user as an administrator you will do in the sense, you will just click on open this user, see what is the status of the user, this is active, and click on reset or remove password. When you click on reset or remove password, again it will ask two types of ways to set the password. One is send and reset password email link. It will send an email link to your email ID. It is nothing but mailinator. One is to send an email link to your mailinator, and the other one is set a temporary password, where it will generate a temporary password, and this temporary password will be shared to the user. And at the immediate login, once he enters the temporary password, the user will be prompted to change the password. Let's go with this temporary password. What we will see. See, reset password, I'm just using temporary password, and again see, I'm just keeping this option to sign out of the user. If the user is signed in as he forgot the password, if the user is signed in any other devices, even that particular sessions need to be signed out. I mean, you need to log out from different session. Let's suppose you are using your Okta console, one from your office, one from your personal laptop, right, and one from your mobile. So once you forgot the password, we just wanted to sign out you from all these devices. And if you want to reuse it, you need to log in with the new password. That's the reason we are using sign out of all the sessions. And now let's say we are creating a temporary password. Just click on reset password. It will generate you a temporary password. And this password should be shared with the user saying that use this temporary password to log in. So when the user tries to log in with use temporary password, it will prompt you to change the password. Let's say this is the temporary password. And now close this. I've shared as an administrator, you have shared this temporary password to Salma. And before changing and resetting the password, now see the status of the user. What is the user status now? Now the user status is password expired. User is in one-time password mode. This is one more status. Password expired. User is one-time password mode in the sense the password is reset by some user. I mean, administrator has reset the password and kept that user in one-time password mode. So what is this one-time password mode in the sense? The password which you shared with the end user will be valid for only one time to log in. That too, just to change the new password, not to log into the system. That is one-time password mode. Let's see what happens to the end user when you are trying to log in. I'm just opening this. This is the end user console. salman.k@.com, and the temporary that password that I got. See, when I enter the password, it is just asking to me to set the new password because it's only one time password which is used to set only the new password. It doesn't allow you to log in until and unless you set the password. So just set the password. And just remember, this is a password policy for our users. At least 8 characters, no username. Password should not be same as last 4 passwords. This is the password criteria that which we are using. And this is who will define this? As an administrators, as an Okta developers, we need to define this. And again, when we come for this password setting concept, we'll just discuss whether if you want to change this 8 to 12 or 8 to 7, or we can keep last 4 or last 5 password should not be set up. Whatever changes we want to do, we can do that. Now I just set the password. Password has been used recently because I used the same password which I used in my last 4 password. That's the reason it's asking that it's used recently. Now what is the user status changed? Active, right? So this is one status. The other status is, let's suppose you want to deactivate this user or suspend this user. So what is the status? One is to suspend the user. What is deactivate the user? So I have seen many times there will be a question for you asking what is the difference between suspend and deactivate. So first we'll talk about what is deactivate. Deactivate. For this purpose, right? Let me create some sample application, some dummy application, show you this. I'm just creating some dummy application. Let's suppose I'm not installing. I'm not. It's not. Just creating some dummy application, some dummy URL. See, I'm assigning this to a group called as everyone. See, everyone, as every user is part of this. So when I'm assigning to everyone, every user will get this access to this application. But again, we'll discuss that while talking about groups. Now, if you see, if I open Salman, now he has an access to a application called as my web application, some application. Let's talk, he has an access. Now, let's say if I want to deactivate that user, when we will deactivate this user, when user is moving out of organization, he is leaving this organization and going to some other organization, or he is getting retired and moving out of organization, and he nowhere required his credentials to be present in Okta. In such cases, we may deactivate the user. See, when I deactivate the user, the user got deactivated. Once the user is deactivated, the application is immediately removed from the particular user, right? All the applications assigned to this particular user will be removed. And once the user is in deactivated state, he can't log into the system. He's just deactivated. He's no more in organization. And if you want to delete that user, you can delete after deactivating. So it's based on your company policies. Do you want to delete the deactivated users or not? But what is the difference? See, this is deactivated. Once the user is deactivated, application access, the end user will lose the application access. And what is suspend? What is suspend? That is, let's say there is an user. When we suspend the user, see, when we suspend the user will be in suspended state. He will not lose any access, but even this suspended user can't log into Okta, right? Any suspended user or any deactivated user will never log into Okta. But what is the status of suspend and deactivated? Deactivated in the sense it will remove all the application access the user has. Suspended in the sense it will doesn't remove the application access. It will just keep you in the suspended state. But what is the need of this deactivated and suspended state? Mainly the deactivated status is used when the user is moving out of the organization, so that he never needs any access to this application and he never comes back again. Maybe if he wanted to comes back, he will be coming as a new rehire after 1 year or 2 years, and then where again we can activate this user and provide him the access whatever he required. By the time if this user is removed from the Okta, we will create a new user. But what is this suspended? Suspended in the sense, in every organization, you will see that most of the users will go in long leave or maternity leave, some sick leaves for more than 6 months, for than 1 year, right? Or at least 1 month, 2 months. For maternity leave will be for 6 months. So in these 6 months, we know that the user is going for a long leave for maternity leave for 6 months, and the user never logins to Okta, and we doesn't want to make that user to log into Okta. But when he comes back, when she comes back from the maternity leave after 6 months, we want to make sure that she has the same access that she left before. In such cases, for those type of scenarios, when we want those particular access to be revoked when he comes back from a long leave, or let's say a maternity leave or some other state, I mean, some state in the sense from different, he's not working for a couple of months and he comes back, and we want to do retrieve his access to the same access level that he has before he's leaving. In such case, we make that users into a suspended state. And then once the user is back, we'll just activate the user. Once the user is activated, the user will be again activate, and he will be having the same access because he never lost the access. We are just suspending the user not to log in to Okta. If he's not logging to Okta, he can't access any applications. Right? This is the difference between suspend and deactivate. So I have seen questions. There will be questions on this suspend and deactivated status as well. So just make sure that you understand the difference between suspend and deactivated. Any questions?
Yeah, Pradeep, I have one question. Suppose one user is deactivated from the Okta. Is
Yeah.
that username and password, all the user details will be there in the Active Directory, or it will be deleted from there as well?
See here now we are creating the users only in Okta. We are not talking about Active Directory now. Let's
No, no,
say, as
you
I said,
told that these users will be stored in uh, like,
Universal Directory,
yeah, Universal Directory.
Okta's Universal Directory.
Yeah, yeah.
Okta Universal Directory is nothing but this people. You can say this user, right? Deactivated
Okay.
user. The user exists, but you are not deleting that user, right? If you want to delete this user, if you delete this,
Then
undo, you
permanently it
cannot
will
be
be
undo.
removed from.
Then the user got removed from the Universal Directory.
Oh, this is Universal Directory.
And
Okay.
yeah, and if you want to again retrieve that user, you can't retrieve it because you completely deleted it.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, and here you just need to mainly focus on the suspend and deactivated statuses because there could be an interview question on that. If you see, we have seen staged, active, pending user action, password expired, suspended, deactivated, and what could be the other status?
In your experience, have you like get a chance to do the suspend the user in any of your scenarios?
Regularly we do that. Regularly we do that
Okay. The
because
same
in your
purpose, like,
organization doesn't any users go on long leave for maternity leave. In every organizations the users go for long leaves, right? Maternity
okay.
leave, or let's say we will be asked sometimes to keep this user on hold, not to activate because we have seen some suspicious activity, or let's say
Uh,
he's going to some other country for vacation, as we already know that for 2 months vacation, keep this
mhm.
user in suspended state. Or
Okay.
this user, we are just
Also
thinking whether
FML.
uh, sorry, sorry, I didn't hear you correctly.
Also, some people get FMLA. Like if like no no yeah, it's fine. Also, some people get FMLA. So let's say if you have a partner or a parent who's like really sick or terminally sick, you can get up to 2 to 3
Yes.
months of vacation.
Yes. In different cases, we use it. We definitely use it, and we should use it. The suspended state. Okay, and this is how the status. Let me
Pradeep, I
see.
have one
Yeah,
question.
yeah, go on.
Yeah, so in the staged status, you said that activation will be done through automation, right? So,
Yes.
but we are not maintaining any, creation. I mean, the user's entry date, like when the person is going to join. All those details we are not maintaining anywhere. So how it will be done? Like,
You need to create one custom attribute, as I said. As I said, you can create multiple attributes. Now we are going with only the default attributes. So in real time, based on if your start date and end date, you want to do an automation, you need to create start date and attribute, MP start date, and the attribute should be mandate. And again, you need to create one more end date, employee end date. I mean the when he's moving out of the organization. And based on this start date and end date, you can write an workflow. We'll see, as I said, there will be workflow concept which we do for automation. I will show you when we are doing that, how to do this
okay,
workflow. And
okay,
based on this start date and end date attributes, we'll see start date. What is the date today? 21st. Today is starting, and a workflow will trigger every day and will fetch all the users with that particular start date today, and will send an activation email. Will activate the user and will send an activation email to the end users. And same for the last date. A workflow will trigger every day, which will pull the end date of an user and will deactivate the user on the end date itself. Even on the end date, right, we need to deactivate the user only after the office timings. Let's suppose he's an Indian employee, we need to deactivate the user only after 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., saying that your employment for this organization is done and this is your last day, we are closing your account. This how it happens, automation purpose, by creating some workflow based on the end date. If we are managing this employment date from Okta itself, but as I said, the user data will be coming to Okta. If you have upstream application, the user data will be coming to Okta from upstream application. Let's say HR system. In most cases, 99% cases, the data will be coming from upstream HR systems. Even the end date of an attribute will be coming from HR system. Even the start date of an attribute will coming from HR system. And based on the attributes that which we receive in Okta, based on the workflows automation, we will trigger them the emails, whether to activate the user, deactivate the user, to change the status of the users.
So deactivation also will be done through automation only?
Yes.
Okay.
And as I said, these HR systems, right? So
Yeah.
again, these HR systems has multiple capabilities, saying that they will just push the user here, and based on the start date or based on the input that which we do, the user will be get deactivated. And even the user will be active here as well in their status. Once the user is active here, the same status will be pushed to Okta. Let's suppose the employment date is done. Let's say the end user, let's say a user called as Salman, is moving out of the organization. When he keeps his resignation, then the resignation date will be entered in HR systems. If you know that, we will keep our resignation in our HR portal itself for most of the
Yeah.
organizations, right?
Yes.
So when
Yeah.
we submit our HR resignation, so in HR systems, the end date will be calculated. The end date will be calculated based on your notice period, and an end date will be set in HR system. Let's suppose end date as February 1st. On the February 1st itself, the HR system will deactivate the user in HR systems, saying that the end user has reached. And the same status will be moved to here, saying that the end user is deactivated here. So please deactivate the user. Here, right, only the status can be moved, saying that he's already deactivated. So here, once the user is deactivated here, immediately the status of user in Okta can be deactivated
Okay. On the same date itself, we have
on the
to
same day.
deactivate them. Yeah. Okay.
On the same day. So one is automation that which we do on Okta. One way is to do automation. Let's say we just receive only the end date from HR system, saying that this end date is on 21st Jan, deactivate the user. Once we receive this end date, we will create some automation here. Once we create the
Mhm.
automation, this automation will deactivate the user. This is one way to create automation in Okta itself. The other way is the user will get deactivated in HR system itself, and they will just push the status of the user, saying that the user is deactivated here, just deactivate the user. So here there won't be any automation. As the user got deactivated here, immediately the user will get deactivated here itself
Okay. Got it.
in Okta. And in while integrating this, we will have the configuration to set this. Once the user is deactivated in HR systems, how to deactivate in Okta, we'll just have a small configuration. I will show you when we are integrating that with Active Directory. We don't need to take care of any automation as well. For that purpose, we can just create, you can use the existing functionality as
So once
well.
in the
Okay.
HR system, the user will be deactivated. So the data will be reflected in the Okta itself, right?
Yes. See,
Okay.
these
Okay.
HR systems, as we are calling upstreams, whatever changes that are made in HR system, right,
Mm-hmm.
that need to be pushed to Okta. If there is a
Okay.
change in, let's say, if most of the let's say ladies, right, once you get married, you wanted to change your last name, right? So most of the
Mm.
you raise a ticket to HR system saying that I got married, I want to change my last name. So they will update the last name in HR system, and these HR system will push the last name change to Okta itself. No need to change, go and manually do some changes in Okta, because as we are doing some modifications here, I mean configuration here, the whatever the changes are made in HR system, that will be pushed to Okta. Let's suppose you got promoted from, let's say, senior consultant to manager, right? Once you got promoted, your title changes, your role changes. I mean, from manager level, so from senior consultant to manager. So that will get updated in HR system first. And if you did a configuration that whatever the changes that made in HR system need to push to Okta, once the changes are made in HR system, immediately that change will be pushed to Okta. Your title will get changed here. So whatever the changes that are made in HR systems will be pushed. So in organization, real time, what will be there in the sense, we will not create any user in Okta, to be frank. Now, as we are not integrating any user here, we are just, as we didn't integrate any upstream applications with Okta, we are just creating the users for our known purpose to see how to create an user and how to use that user. So in 90% cases, every Okta or every IAM solution will have some HR systems integrated with. In only rare cases, 10% of the cases, we will see Okta as a main source of truth. In normal terminology, we call it a source of truth, saying that where the original data is coming from. In rare cases, we call Okta is a source of truth for all the users. But if there are any upstream applications, they will be the source of truth. Source of truth in the sense where the actual data resides and actual data is flowing from. That is, we call it as source of truth. As I said, right, in many organizations, HR systems will maintain the original data and this will push to Okta on regular basis. We will not even create a user. We'll just manage the users access and users functionality, like whether the user is active or not, whether user is the password reset or mode, which mode he is, we will do in Okta itself. So you need to
Okay,
think
Pradeep.
about
Thank
this
you.
picture itself. Mainly, you need to think about this picture as an architect. There is some upstream, Okta, and downstream.
Okay, thank you.
Now we are now currently talking about only this. If you see, we are currently talking about only this. Now, when we integrate some AD, now in future, let's say in one of the class, we will integrate the AD as well. At that time, we will talk about this picture. Okay, any questions? Okay, now we are done with users. What is user? How to create a user? How to reset this? And again, for the users, right, we have multiple options. As I said, how to reset a password as an administrator. The other one is, let's say, if you forgot your, as is administrator, I can't do this. Okay, if you forgot your password, how to reset a password. If you wanted to reset your authenticators are nothing but the MFA factors. Let's suppose this user using an multi-factor authentication. Let's say Okta device is registered for this user. Let's suppose now no devices, but if you wanted to register, remove this MFA, then you can remove, clearing that reset authenticators. Then it will show you the prompt. As only I have that authenticators, right? If you see, I have authenticators, and if you want to reset my password, I'm not able to see their password. Why? Because being an user administrator, I can't reset my own password. I can reset my own MFA from here. That's a concern that we can't do ourselves any changes. We can't reset my, I can't reset, I mean, in the way that as an administrator, I can't reset my own MFA. If you want to reset your own MFA, you can do from, you can ask for the other administrators, or you can do yourself as an end user. Let's say the end user console. Go for end user console. This is the end user console. What you see. See, this is the end user console, as I said. So what end user can do by himself, we'll check that now. This is an end user. What end user can do? As I'm an administrator, right? I can see this admin console on my both tabs. If I want to route to my end user from here itself, end user dashboard, I can click here and this. If I want to route to admin console again, I will see an option here because I am an administrator. But for end users, real end users, which we log in as Salman, right? You can see there won't be an admin button here because he is just an end user. This is one. And let's suppose as I am an end user, if I go for settings, if you could see, I can change my password. If I want to change my password, I can change that. It's just asking for this Okta verified to confirm are you the right user changing his your own password. So instead of reaching to oh, instead of reaching to the help desk and asking them to reset the password, I can change my own password for as an end user. I'm just showing you the capabilities of an end user. Then if I want to remove my let's say the mobile that I am using, let's say suppose if I bought a new mobile and I wanted to register my new mobile to Okta Verify, then I can set up the other mobile as well. By clicking on this, it will ask the prompt again. I can do that. And if I want to remove this, I can remove my current MFA factor as well. If I want to set my security questions as an other an MFA, I can set my security questions. Just a confirmation, it's asking for every time confirmation, but in real time, we can change this as well. If I want to set the questions, I can set up what are the required questions if I want to set this up as well. And then these are just a user as an end user, what you can do. If you want to change your first name, last name, you can change that. And if you want to change your primary email, you can change that. But real time, we'll just not allow this to change that user. How to change this? The settings. If you go for profile editor, whatever you want to do, you need to go for profile editor. And for email, right, you are showing an option to change that email ID. But in real time, once the company email ID is registered, you should not provide them an option to change their email ID. In such case, go for profile editor, edit this. What attribute you want to change? Email. See here, user permissions, you are setting this as read and write. You should not keep this read and write for the users to edit this information on there. So you just wanted to go for read only. If you want to hide, you can hide. If you want to apply only for read only, you are just going for read only. Save this configuration. And now as an end user, just do a refresh, edit this. Now this is just only read only. You are not able to edit it. So this is how where you customize the end user console as well. What attributes do they need to edit? An option to edit what attributes they need to just view, what attributes that can be hidden. You can. So these were the configuration that end user can see. Any questions?
Apart from the super administrator, you told that there are going to be some other administrators, right? Are where
Yes.
we can see those roles actually?
Okay, this is a new other topic we'll discuss while
Okay.
showing this, but I will just show you for if you want to go through
No,
anything.
no,
If you go for
no, no. Just
security,
like we can discuss later. Just
yeah,
out of
if you go for
curiosity, I'm asking.
security, yeah, out of curiosity, all right, go for administrators and you can see different roles. If you want
Okay.
to explore, you can explore this, but we will have one session on this as well.
Okay. Okay.
I'll show you that. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, this is done for today. We are done with people, and tomorrow we'll continue groups. We'll start with groups, and we have group rules, and then we'll go for this customization. We'll complete these groups and customization tomorrow. And I hope if you need any bit slow, let me know. Or if you're good with the speed at which you are going, it's fine. Because to be frank, we are just going a bit slow because yesterday itself we need to cover people and group, but as we are more people and we are coming with questions, that's the reason we are going with a bit slow pace, right? And if you want to continue the same pace, we'll go with that. If you want to, let's say, speed up, a bit more, we can speed a bit more. So depending upon the feedback, you can provide me the feedback maybe today or tomorrow. If you are good, we can continue the same speed. If not, we'll continue a bit fast. And tomorrow we'll go with groups and customizations. And then the other class we'll be having of day after tomorrow is the actual integration we'll go with. So these are very basics, people and groups. So it doesn't need any, much knowledge on this, or there won't be much interview questions as well, apart from one or two. But the actual interview questions will be in applications while we are integrating applications, and it takes a lot of time to integrate. Integration is very straightforward, but in depth, what you want to learn, it will take time. So we'll go a bit slow at application integrations. And as I said, now you can create your own tenants. So by tomorrow, I hope you will create your own tenants and do the things that which I have said, like creating an users, checking the various status of the users, creating an users and sending an activation emails. So just go through that and at least create a tenant so that you will get some hands-on. Until and unless you create these tenants, you doesn't get any hands-on. And connect with Rani, I guess, and get the recordings every day. Whatever the recordings that is getting recorded, you can take the recordings from her and go through the recordings once or twice and prepare your own notes and do the practice. That's the only thing that I can say. Okay, tomorrow same time we'll just connect and we'll just go through the other topics. I hope the speed that we are going is fine, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Speed is
Pradeep.
fine. So
Fine.
you
Yeah.
have said you'll share the recording in our email.
Yes, you need to connect with Rani for that. Jacob,
Fine.
you are the one, right? Talking. Let
Yes,
me see.
yes, yes, yes.
Jacob, you just
Because
provide me your email ID. I'll just provide it
okay,
to, Rani. As you are
okay,
not aware of Rani, right? Just provide me that.
yeah. Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay then. Yeah. Tomorrow same time we'll just connect. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pradeep. Bye.